there were these huge protests in Sri Lanka, and I saw some of the signs that they wrote, and it really shows how misled we are as people. There was somebody holding one of these signs, but for some reason my computer went to this page instead of the one that had the woman holding this sign. But if you think about this in Sri Lanka, people should not be afraid of their government. The government should be afraid of their people. First off, government doesn't exist. Government is a word that means so many different things that when you use it, it limits you in your understanding, comprehension, and viewpoint of the world. So a way you could make this a little easier to understand for you is people should not be afraid of the people who call themselves the government. Now, this statement, with or without that, is really a bad joke because the people who call themselves the government should be afraid of their people is delusional. Think about how many weapons the people calling themselves the government have. Why should this guy right here who calls himself the government, calls himself an armed force, a member of the armed forces who serves what? The people who call themselves the government. Why would he be scared of you? First of all, he's flying in a helicopter that you don't have access to. And he's shooting a gun that shoots 2,000 to 6,000 rounds per minute. $2,000 to 6,000 rounds per minute. That's 6,000 rounds per minute. That's 100 rounds a second. At 2,000 rounds a minute, it's 30 rounds a second. And he's flying in a plane. Why? Look at this. Why exactly is he scared of you? Why is this guy a person who calls himself the government? Why would he be scared of you? Why is he scared of you? You have a sign. Look, you have a hands in the pocket. You have a hat. This guy could literally wipe out everyone in this crowd in about 10 seconds. So why is this guy who calls himself the government Why should he fear you? Let me tell you, he doesn't. He doesn't fear you. Uh, this guy right here calls himself the government, doesn't fear you. This guy right here who calls himself the government, and these guys who call themselves the government, they don't fear you. And there's no reason for them to fear you because they have a bunch of people with them that agree that they're the government and they're armed and they will hurt you. They will shoot you. They will hurt you. Here's some people that call themselves the government in China, crushing protesters. Basically, these people in China have their life savings frozen in the bank. The bank's not giving them their money. They froze millions of dollars worth of deposits. And these guys showed up against corruption and violence of the people that call themselves the government. And there was a violent crackdown. They got beat. They got detained. They got kicked. They got violenced. Okay? By who? Not by the government, by people calling themselves the government. So why should these people who call themselves the government in China fear the people of China? Why? They don't. They're not going to. They're never going to. Okay? The president of Sri Lanka, right? Who all these people were protesting against, right? He left the country on a military jet. And then his buddy, one of his buddies, right, who calls himself the government, said, whatever it takes, do whatever it takes to stop the violence. Do whatever it takes. He hired the forces to do whatever it takes to put these people down. Okay? So he's flying away in a plane, and his buddy who took over is going to do whatever it takes to stop these protests. He's going to do whatever it takes to stop these protests, which means what? This guy is going to crush the opposition with violence. With violence. With these guys right here who call themselves the government. And look, here they got a hold of this truck. See this truck right here with the vents and the doors and the gun on top, probably a water cannon. Here they are taking it over. Now, what's going to happen? These guys are going to flee the scene, okay? Just like this guy fled the scene, right? His buddies are going to flee the scene. They're going to go hide out, and then they're going to take more money. This guy's buddies are going to take more money from the people via quote unquote taxes, right? These guys right here are going to take more money from the people via taxes. They're going to force it from them, and they're just going to buy another truck, and they're just going to roll these guys out again. So just because you take over a little truck and you run a guy out of office, it's never going to end. These people who call themselves the government are never going to give up power to you, ever. Think about it. Prince Charles is making about $24 million a year. Okay. Go tell him, hey, can you, renounce your throne and, quit making 24 million a year and quit living in a palace and quit being driven around everywhere and quit having private security guards and quit having a huge amount of notoriety and quit telling people what to do. Can you just stop doing that? What do you think he's going to do? Of course, he's not going to do anything. Yeah, go tell this guy, hey man, just you got too many troops and you got too many soldiers, and you're really being a kind of a jerk the way you're running the country. And so why don't you just quit doing that? What do you think this guy's going to do? Nothing. Even when you're successful in running a guy out, okay, even when you're successful in running this guy out of the country via these hellish protests, right? He's just going to replace himself with somebody, with one of his buddies. You're just going to get another president. You're just going to get another prime minister. You're just going to get another guy who's going to control you. You didn't change anything. It's like changing, it's like changing the paint of your wall. You don't change the fact there's a wall there by painting it. You don't change the thickness of the wall by painting it. You don't change the material inside the wall by painting it. And that's all you're doing. You're painting a wall. So, you have let's see here. You have this guy over here running your country instead of this guy. Oh, you have this guy telling you what to do instead of this guy. Oh, you have this guy violencing you instead of this guy. Oh, you have this guy taking your money instead of this guy. So when you have this idea of you know this is my country, the power of the people is stronger than the people in power. This is my country, right? Stop running my country. This is my country. It's not your country. 100% guaranteed. No matter what country you live in, it ain't your country. Okay. The power of the people is stronger than the people in power. Not true. People in power have way more weaponry than you. Way more. The people in power have so many guns, so many bombs, so many missiles, so many means to hurt you. They're experts at it. The people who are in power have been controlling you literally for thousands of years. This person asks, why do some of us have continuous power? One answer, very simply, violence. Violence. They're violent individuals. These people who control you are violent individuals. They are violent, violent, violent individuals. This guy right here is a violent individual. This guy's a violent individual. Violence, violent, violent individuals. So if you want to know if you're stronger than the people in power, you're not. If you want to know if it's your country, it's not. If you want to know if the government fears the people calling themselves the government fear the people, they don't. If you want to know why some of us have continuous power, because they're violent, violent, violent individuals. And nothing is going to change. These people who are running the world have been setting this game up for tens of thousands of years, and they are so good at it. The people running the world are so good at it. You're never getting out. I'm never getting out. As it's been said, no one here gets out alive.